I don't think caddies should be able to line up players at all. Can you imagine how weird it would look like in other sports? Like, I was watching, like watching March Madness, like the coach runs out to the free throw line, like, whoa, hold on. Like, here we go. No, we don't do that in other
But a teammate
other
could, because they're on the same team.
What is up, everybody? How you living? No putts given. Tony and Chris, we're back. Red and green on top. We got a little red hat, a little white and green. It's not that time of year, Tony, but it's like Christmas in March.
It is, yeah. It looks like Christmas outside now. More Christmas than it was at Christmas.
Yeah, somebody said we got like another 2 or 3 inches of snow this weekend too, and I said, snow is way more magical on December 25th than like March 25th.
2 to 3 inches is pansy snow. Yeah.
Agreed.
16 and a half at my house. So.
But I'll be playing golf on Friday, Tony.
Yeah,
and you
like
won't,
March
so.
got me, man. Like every year too, but usually it's like you get into March and you're like, we're done, and you get 6 inches on like March 10th, March 15th, and it delays opening day by a week or so, and it's frustrating. But man, to get like, what was it, the 23rd, 24th, I guess 23rd, to get 16 and a half inches. It's I believe the appropriate I think the common phrase is nut punch. It's just a nut punch.
That's why the Germans came up with the term Schadenfreude, right? I experienced joy at your misfortune. So anyway,
it's not cool.
Malnati, we got to talk about him. Valspar, the paint tournament. Do you have caddy issues, Tony? Are there caddy issues that we need to discuss? I think there are. We're going to welcome Philip Bishop, who oversees an awful lot of our hard goods testing. He's going to come on briefly, chat through some testing results on putters, and then a couple other random topics. We got a little look at what TGL might look like next year. You have a challenge that you'd like to throw out to listeners. We're going to go for some fan engagement, and I want to know if you really think Callaway's
we're going to do that. We're doing that this week, or we're going to tease it this week and do it next week?
I think we're going to tease it this week and then do it next week. So we'll tease it.
Yeah.
We'll give a little bit of an overview. Suckers. So anyway, the paint tournament, Valspar paint. I know maybe a lot of people didn't as many, with it being March Madness, and I had 13 different screens going, and so it was kind of cool to see. But Peter Malnati, this is not a name that most anyone is probably going to recognize unless they were looking like it.
It's definitely not like it. There's Tiger, there's Rory, and there's Peter Malnati. Though if you told me he was like a character on The Sopranos, I might believe it, but...
And don't confuse him with like Lou Malnati's like pizza joint, in Chicago. Some people might do that, but beyond, and we'll talk through his bag. He's a Titleist staffer. He hasn't won a golf tournament in 3,058
days. Well, I guess now he hasn't won a golf tournament in one day.
Well, yeah, 2. We have
3 when you're watching.
It'll be 3 days or whatever. But
needs to get his crap together big time.
I mean, there's a number of different things about this particular win at this tournament that are kind of interesting. Well, certainly interesting, definitely remarkable. And so we're going to chat through just a couple of those. But what was your first take on this? I thought this was pretty interesting.
I love it. First of all, dude's wearing a bucket hat. So I'm already completely with him.
We should have worn bucket hats today for him.
I'll have to talk to JD about that. We've got... He won with a yellow Pro V1 golf ball. And not because he's needs the visibility or he noticed some performance difference, but because his kid liked it. Right. And so he's playing a yellow ball because his kid liked it. I absolutely love that. And then you look at his bag, it's amazing. It's an all Titleist bag, but it's like we're on a timeline here. I'm gonna go through it. So yellow Pro V1X to be precise. So TSR3 driver. So R3 10 degrees. TSI3 fairway wood. So we're going back in time a little bit. This is one generation.
Now
not wild.
The next one is the one that I side with.
Oh, this is so good. 818 H2 hybrid. It's just incredible.
818. That's not a zip code, not an area code.
I mean, this is old school. This is. It goes back to I would guess just based on the number on the name, circa 2018,
circa 1980s,
which was in my mind 2018 wasn't that long ago. In my mind 2018 was like 2 years ago, but then you start counting back and you're like.
It's like 6.
Yeah. So roughly. I mean, this is like.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the latest, most current Titleist technology, but that 818 series, that's one that a lot of people love. I could see if you're going to hold on to a Titleist hybrid, like I can understand why that would be the one. Then you look in his bag, some of the stuff we've talked about. So T200 4-iron.
Yep.
T150 5-iron. And then 6 through 9 in the T100. So that blended set that we've talked about, and the idea of like, hey, as you progress through the bag, you might need to make some adjustments to keep your speed up, your descent angles where you need them to be, that kind of thing. And then for all the old stuff, right? Again, for the i3 and the 6-year-old, however many year old H2 hybrid, SM10 wedges. I doubt you'll find many tour players playing old wedges, and if they are, they're playing new stock of old, replenished inventory, if you will, new stuff that's still on the van. Nobody is out there with wedges that have been in
an original issue SM9 or SM8 or something.
That's if you want to fail miserably on tour, I think not having freshies in the bag is probably a good way to do it. But I mean,
for sure.
I love the bucket hat. I love the bag makeup. This is a fun one.
What do you what do you take from that in terms of where the stuff is new and where the stuff is old? Because to me, that tells kind of a cool story that I think more golfers would be wise to potentially think through. And I get it. We test stuff every year, right? Because there's the latest and greatest in these things, but we also say very, very clearly over and over and over that year-over-year changes are rarely significant enough to warrant any sort of a repurchase or upgrade from a performance standpoint. Like that those two things can coexist, right? Like those two statements can coexist.
Yeah, and a TSI 3 wood is not ancient by any stretch of the imagination, right? It's creeping towards 2 years old kind of a situation. Well, I guess go back farther than that. TSR is creeping towards 2 years, so 3 to 4 range.
TSI almost 4, yeah.
Yeah, oh my God. But I think for average golfers, like the 3 wood, I've said it before, like if you've got a 3 wood that you can, never mind optimize. Like I don't care if you're optimized with a 3 wood, does not make a difference to me. Like I am not chasing magic numbers on a launch monitor. If you've got a 3 wood as an average golfer that you can hit consistently, keep it. Just keep it. Yes. And again, like you really got to have better to make that change. Quantifiable better, not just on a launch monitor. Take it on the course. It's got to prove it, because that's one that is tricky to mess with, because as we know, average golfers just struggle to hit a 3 wood decently as an average range. Like, that was decent. That's good. Like, decent is good for a lot of us. So I could see why, even at the tour level, you would hold on to one a bit longer than you would need to. And then the hybrid, that's another one where, especially when you're dealing with, I mean, he has moved into some faster irons at that end of the bag, the 4-iron, the 5-iron, but that's another one where, unless you're really chasing some kind of distance change or trying to make a major change, a hybrid, especially a long hybrid that works well for you, hold on to it. Just hold on to it. Cuddle up to it at night. Bring it into the bedroom.
Treat it well. Buy it gifts.
Yeah. Take it out to a nice dinner once a month. Keep it happy.
Treat your hybrid better than Tony treats his wife. That's the
low bar. Hey, we went out to dinner this weekend. I want to interrupt briefly. We went out to dinner. It wasn't like the nicest restaurant in town. It wasn't a bad restaurant. It was one of my favorite places. Not. Nice restaurant. Yeah. But there was this dude at the next table. I'm ballparking him at 60, and his wife is like she's wearing like jeans but a nice sweater, and they're out with friends and they're wearing like again jeans but button-up shirt, like business casual to semi-casual, that range. And dude is head to toe, no joke, in a white tracksuit with just a little bit of black accents, and I was like, that's my dude. That is who I want to be. So yeah, life goals, man. I'm gonna be white tracksuit guy. I have seen the future. I love it. Anyway, next.
You've seen the vision. Very quickly, my take on that, we'll go to the next one, is I think 3 things that every golfer could look at his bag and here's a takeaway is replace your wedges. You have to treat wedges like disposable. Dave. Yeah, like disposable razors, right? To a degree. It's like particularly your 2 highest lofted wedges. So if that's 56, 60 for you, if it's 54, 58, whatever those are. Huge benefit there. Number 2, you get 14 clubs, right? And every club has a purpose. And if you find a club that does that job really, really well, it's okay to keep it until it breaks, or until something is clearly and quantifiably better. And the likely place you're going to see that in a golf bag first is going to be that 3-wood, 5-wood, 7-wood hybrid, that type of space. Like I said, the guy you don't play for money is somebody that has an old 3-wood with a dime-sized wear spot on it. That dude is scary, and that guy might be Peter Malnati. Like you just, and then make sure you are playing the latest technology that you can with a driver that fits you, because that is where, if you're playing something that is 5, 7, 12 years old, you're probably giving up a decent amount of performance there. And then finally, if your kids like something, so long as it isn't like, a Kirkland ball or something, play it. I think that's the message. I think
it worked out. It definitely worked out. There is no shame in playing a yellow golf ball.
Caddy issues, Tony. We got to talk about this. Sean Fairholm,
who is usually wrong,
who's typically wrong, habitually wrong. We can't say that now because I guess pose it this way. He wrote an article, we'll link to it, but basically idea being is we got to talk about the role of the caddy in professional tournaments and things. And my Lord, when you look at, and the examples that we use in this one is, are Wyndham Clark.
We're not going to pick on Wyndham Clark, but we are going to pick on Wyndham Clark.
Yeah, and nothing personal, Wyndham. Nothing personal at all. But good Lord Almighty, it feels like your caddy is doing too much on the greens, lining you up. What's your take on this? Is it too much? Is it too much, or am I being hyperbolic for no reason?
As usual. I think we got some great feedback from our readers on this article. We'll talk about some of their ideas because I look at it, I was like, I kind of agree with that. But my perspective on this prior to reading our readers' comments was kind of like, well, kind of depends on how that player talks about his caddy in broader terms. Great example that I would give, Jordan Spieth, right? When he's talking about decisions made on the course with Michael Greller, it's always we.
They
right?
are very much
that
a team.
is a team.
Yep.
And so, granted, one member of that team gets paid way more than the other. But if you're a tour player and your mindset is, that caddy, that guy, he is on my team. He and I we are a team, the two of us. Yeah. Then maybe within reason, you should be able to get plenty of help. I don't know when it gets to the point. I don't have a problem with the caddy with the wedge and doing all that stuff. I think where I would draw the line, and I haven't seen it get to this part, is when it gets to what I would call country club pro creepy, where he's like, all right, kind of lining you up, getting a little touchy-feely, maybe trying to get a little, a little that going on. But it's not to that extent. But I could see why some people think maybe, just maybe, it's you're a pro, you should be able to do this on your own kind of thing. So
I'm gonna take a little firmer stance on this one. I don't think caddies should be able to line up players at all. Here's where I'm going with this. So my thinking is this. And I did breeze through Sean's article a little bit, and he does link to rules of golf, which, as we know, so many are subject to interpretation. Some are are woefully outdated. Some are
clear it right up.
Overly complex, and some make no sense at all. So I am not like, I don't treat the rules of golf like as a infallible, religious document or something like that. But when we talk about skill, like, so if I'm out playing with my buddies, with whomever else, I have to line myself up on every shot. I can't use things to help me line my
Well, you don't have a caddy.
Right. Now,
and that goes back to what I always talk about, right? There's the rules, and then there's the application thereof.
Right.
No caddy,
right.
You can't do
so,
what they can do.
In the most elite portion of the game, the professional golfers, what if we took this as a situation where we said, hey, we feel like the best players in the world should be able to do these 10 things for themselves, no matter what. And one of those would be lining up. You get advice, you get yardages, you get that information, but can you imagine how weird it would look like in other sports? Like, I was watching, watching March Madness, like the coach runs out to the free throw line, like, whoa, hold on. Like, here we go. No, we don't do that in other.
But a teammate could, because they're on the same team, right? And they're out there together.
How weird would that, like, hey, buddy. Yeah, I get it. I see that part, but I really would love to see the golfer. I don't really care, I guess, at the end of the day, but it's like, for the love, like, you should be able to line yourself up, like, Let
me give you two ideas from our comment section.
All right, give me two ideas.
Here's the first one.
Number one.
This is the most aggressive one.
Okay.
Get rid of caddies entirely.
Yep.
And if our buddy Michael Collins was dead, he'd be rolling over in his grave over this, I'm sure.
Right.
But get rid of the caddies. You don't need them, right? Push carts. We can do that now.
Sure.
I think it's a little extreme. Again, I kind of like the idea of the caddy is on my team a little bit, but it's an idea. It's an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one I like better. And again, you have to be okay with the fact that there's going to be the rules, and the application thereof will vary between the professional game and what us scrubs play. But if you want to talk about an area, a facet of the game that lends itself exceptionally well to a shot clock, it's all right there. Everybody's in the same place. You're not moving around. So it's like, hey, as soon as you address your putt for the first time, I don't care how long it is, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 45 seconds, no more than that.
12. You have 12 seconds.
Whatever that is, within that window, you can do whatever you want. If you want to have your caddy come in and take a few practice swings with his wedge, if that's how you want to spend your time, if you want to have him line you up, however you want to do it.
Yep.
But you've only got X amount of time to get through it. I am so good with that. And not for anything, you and I both, right? Neither one of us have a problem with aim point at all.
No, I love
aim point fans. But for those who complain about it, shot clock clears up your aim point problem because, you can do this all day if you want.
Right.
But you can't do it all day because you're on the clock. And so figure it out and go. Move it along, guys.
Yeah, I like that one. The other one I would love to see is a golf tournament where they experiment with this. It could be, they probably won't do it on the PGA Tour, but, man, I would love to see PGA Tour tournament. Might as well. Let's do it. Let's call it a PGA Tour tournament. And if you're a player, you have two options. Number one, no caddies at all. Like you said, that one, you just go with that. Or number two, it's the most the caddy can do is give yardages, help club you, rake, bunkers, divots, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That was a bad shot.
Yeah, like caveman you. But they can't help or offer any advice beyond that. So like a very restrictive thing. And I get their, application, blah, 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 like you said. But it would be interesting. Like, I just feel like we're getting to the point where like the caddies are doing too much with some of that. And I think it does hurt pace of play. It certainly doesn't help it. It certainly isn't making things go any faster when, like you said, you have your caddy up there getting really close to it as they're lining up to hit it. You know, like they're going to hit a putt with your wedge. Going, okay, now I'm sensing this, I'm feeling this, and like, why is the caddy doing that? Shouldn't the player be doing that? Why can't we just have players do the things that players are supposed to
be out there
do?
with cat lasers. Aim right there.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Exactly. Maybe other people have other ideas, but I think that would be really kind of cool. Anyway, let's move on to blade putter testing. We're going to bring in one Philip Bishop as you're grabbing him. Like I said, Philip oversees tremendous amount of things in terms of the world of equipment testing at My Golf Spy. So not only is he in charge of writing up results, articles, etc., he is there day by day, tester by tester, hour by hour, swing by swing, data point by data point, watching all of this stuff go down. So when when we say, hey, this test was like 18,412 shots, God bless him, Philip got to see 18,412 shots, and that's just kind of part of the gig. So we're going to bring him on here. We're going to talk a little bit about putter testing results.
Whoa, right on cue. That was amazing.
That was actually pretty good.
We could not have planned that better. What's up, Phil?
What's up, Phil? How you living?
Did I come in right on cue?
Close enough. That was pretty damn good.
Let's go. I was making sure I clicked all the right buttons. I haven't done that before. So.
Yeah. Well, if you clicked all the right buttons, you're way ahead of where Tony and I were the first time we did on this one. So that's good. I just gave people a little intro in terms of who you are and what you do and all that kind of stuff. And man alive, we appreciate everything that you guys are doing there. And like I said, it's, people love, I was trying to tell somebody else kind of about, I was like, testing's a little bit like sausage, where, maybe isn't necessarily all that fun to watch it get made, but you sure love the results.
Yeah, or
you're a sausage guy. You get to see every bit of it get made. But we're going to talk putter testing results here a little bit. So we're talking blade putter. So let's just launch right into kind of the first part of it, which is what happened? Who won? Like, what's going down? Give us give us that part.
All right. Drum roll, I guess, right? So the winner is going to be the Even Roll Neo Classic ER2.
Even Roll Neo Classic. For those of you that don't love word parts, that's like New Classic. Yeah. ER2. I'm going to make an argument, or at least throw something out there. This might be the winningest putter of all time in My Golf Spy blade putter testing. If we take podium results, that stuff, like, holy cow.
It's a fair argument for sure.
Man. Okay, so number one spot, Even Roll, ER2. Give me the next two. Well, just give me top three.
It's about to get weird.
It is about to get weird.
Okay, all right.
And I know we'll kind of dive into this a little more. So next up, runner-up is going to be the Zebra Black Milled Series 003.
Zebra Black Milled 00. I feel like we're doing like play calls, like in the NFL, like swap to twins left, Z motion, X.
Well, we are talking about zebra stripes, right? It's got zebra stripes on the actual putter,
So we got Zebra, which some people might go, oh, I played a Zebra like decades ago. Same company, but retooled, but not. Same name, same brand, I guess. Different company, ownership, execution, all that stuff. Spot number 2. All right, give me number 3.
All right, so third place is going to be T squared PS 912.
Excuse me, what?
All these have exceptionally long names. Was that the number one criteria in testing this year? You just said, hey, what's the name, and let's just rank them based on
just ranks by number of letters. It makes it so much easier.
I didn't add any type in there either, so.
Yeah. There's some people out there that might believe it, so for the record, that's a joke. That's not how we test.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
But
there's going to be – go ahead, yeah.
We have a top 3 that Even Roll, there should be no surprise that Even Roll, year in and year out, does extremely well in our testing. There's certainly some years that it didn't do so well, and, whatever the case may be. So yeah, but then also seeing two putters. A Zebra has an iconic name behind it. Prestigious back in the day, I believe it was 1976 when they were kind of first introduced. Just doing a little research on my end, doing the write up.
Hey, Philip, what year were you born?
1991.
Which is roughly 15 years after that. So
I wasn't even thought of, which is, my dad was in like high school at that point, so But yeah, so and then you see Zebra is obviously iconic, and then T squared. This is the first time we've ever tested, to my knowledge, T squared. So again, we'll dive into that a little later, but one of many that we've tested for the first time in this year's Most Wanted. So.
Yeah, this is to one of these things we try and do. Like there are brands that you absolutely positively have to have in a putter test, but in what has become increasingly more of a social media driven world, we're kind of always like checking Facebook and Instagram and Twitter for these smaller brands that are kind of popping up. And so, it seems like every couple of weeks I'll send something to Philip and be like, hey, are we looking at this weird thing that just showed up in my Facebook feed?
Yeah, and I know we're talking blade putters, but mallet putters are going to have more of that just kind of non-mainstream option in there. Plus, it's just more putters overall, too. But,
yeah, so a couple of questions for you, too, Phil, because, people will go to the main site article. There's going to be a ton of information there. For people that saw our driver overview video, separate videos, we're going to have more of those this year where we go through, top 5 in different categories and go kind of line by line, feature by feature. So there'll be more opportunities to go in depth on those items. But we know that sometimes there's a difference between what tests well and what people will actually buy. And I know that's a consideration. So, what did you hear from the testers? Maybe some of the subjective stuff that might make it into some of those articles, but might not. What were people liking? What were people not liking? What was just kind of the vibe of that? And what was some of the feedback from testers?
Yeah, so, obviously, we do test Scotty Cameron's. Year in and year out, Scotty Cameron's going to be subjectively one of the best feeling, sounding, best for looks, best for likelihood of purchase. It's going to be one of those that's extremely highly rated. We have 20 testers in the test. Almost every one of them is going to rate it highly. Whereas, for example, the T squared TS 912 is placing third overall. It probably ranks towards the bottom in subjective feel.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that contrast of, and it's something that we believe in wholeheartedly, is just because a putter looks good, feels good, maybe sounds good, doesn't necessarily correlate to overall performance.
Yeah, we did this several years ago. We actually had the testers rank every putter in the test, and the article's still up, and it's, even though it was the data specific to that year, I think conceptually it's an evergreen thing where some of the absolute best performing tests, you'd have a guy that was just lights out with a putter, and you say, all right, where would you rank this? Look, sound, feel, likelihood of purchase, and it would be 29th out of 30.
Right.
Literally could not have putted better, and you'll hear things like, well, I don't putt well if I don't like the way it looks. I'm like, well, you just did. So, and it repeats itself year after year after year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say I can't remember exactly what putter was, but so we have everybody comes in, they're hitting 8 putts from 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet. We're reporting essentially how many 1 putts they have, how many 2 putts they have. And you see somebody who has, say, 5 to 6 putters in her grouping, and he makes the largest amount of 1 putts with a particular putter, and then ranks it 2 for likelihood of purchase. And I'm like, you literally just made the most putts with that putter in this grouping, and you gave it a 2. Why?
Yeah. And it's interesting,
I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the way it feels. It's too heavy. It's too light. Whatever the case may be. And I'm just you just made 4 more total putts with that putter versus the next closest one.
Right. And it's do you I like the look and sound and feel of the ball going in the hole. That sound, to me, is the best sound any putter can make, is the little clink, 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 clink when the ball goes, in the hole. And if it were a like I said, if it were a shovel, I'd putt with that. If it was a 2x4 on the end of a shovel and it made more putts, great. But what do you think is in that? I mean, is that something? Do you think people will move past that as they go? Because quite honestly, that was an objection, like to lab putter, certainly as a beginning. And I my lab putter back in the box, and the DF3 that I've been playing around with is a phenomenal putter. I really like it, but I can totally understand why somebody go, yeah, I made a lot of putts, but
yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that Lab has done so well is we've seen it in testing where it performs subjectively. It's not among the higher rated putters out there, whether it's a blade, whether it's a mallet. And you are seeing, and really the performance of T-squared in this test is just only validating that even more. Like, even for a blade, this is subjectively appealing to a majority of the testing pool, which is 20 testers. So it's a large portion versus the whole golf community. But the performance is being packed there and throwing subjective appeal out the window in a second. So
interesting. All right, stick with us here, Philip. We got 2 questions we're going to finish with here quickly, and we're going to get your opinion on this as well. But before I ask the last question, Tony, tease us the Wedge Challenge. People need to tune in next week to get all the details on this. We didn't quite have time to roll it all out this week.
We're teasing it.
Phil might want to participate in this too.
Is this? I thought we were talking about putters.
We're done with that. Come on now, we're moving on. So next week we're going to kick off. It'll be the first in what we think maybe could turn into a series of no putts given challenges. We're going to lay it out for you. Going to give you frame it, the full context of why we're doing it. Chris and I are going to take the challenges ourselves. We're going to open it up. If you guys want to challenge it, we're going to give away some stuff, some prizes, have a good time, and hopefully have a good conversation. Lots of fun. Come back next week.
Lots of fun. All right, last question we're going to finish on. This one, saw Brian Katrick, BK, dearly beloved BK, phenomenal radio host. I love listening to the show. They do with John McGinnis on tap with McGinnis and Katrick on Sirius XM. They do a phenomenal job. He had a hole-in-one this weekend with a Bridgestone Mindset golf ball. Tony articulated that it's just as good if you just put your initials on there too. I guess that works. But the point was this. So you make a hole-in-one.
Really simple.
T. Callaway. There you go.
Only play balls that you can easily initial. That's my theory. That's my new
You make a hole-in-one. Golf's tradition is that then you buy the beverages of whatever variety for either your group or anybody that's in the bar at the end, or what. Every course is different in these type of things. So we're finishing on this question. Number 1, are you okay with that? And number 2, if you're not, what would you do differently? Philip, what do you got?
Ooh, all right.
What do you got?
For those that don't know, I did work at a country club prior to this job. So at the country club, there was a hole-in-one club that you could be a part of. Which essentially, you make a hole-in-one, that happens, and I was actually in charge of charging this back to the member.
Okay.
But for that day, where they hit a hole-in-one, everybody who was in that hole-in-one club would get charged $5, and that would essentially go back on the member's bill and cover the cost for drinks that day.
Gotcha.
And then whatever was left over, they would actually get credit towards their bill and golf shop credit.
Okay.
So
it's like a pooled insurance policy. So it's a thing. Okay.
My course did something like that back in the day. I don't do it anymore now, I don't think. But it was basically, first of all, it wasn't a club in that you didn't get to join. It was just course policy. Like you were in whether you wanted to be or not. And then anytime anybody made a hole-in-one, every member got charged $2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So same basic idea, except you didn't have a choice. And I'm guessing that anything left over went back into the pockets of the golf course versus the member or the guy that had the hole-in-one. But same basic idea. I didn't have a problem with it. Cost me like $8 a year.
Yeah. See, so that I like that. I don't love the hey, you make a hole-in-one all of a sudden, because I guarantee you there are some friends and people, and I have seen this, where they go straight top shelf or whatever, and you can end up with, you make a hole-in-one and you walk home, $1,000 poor because because of that. It's like that. That's ridiculous. That's not.
You don't want to hit the shot of your life and then go home and have your wife yell at you.
Yeah.
It's really like it's that simple.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Like I want to start a new tradition, which I like the kind of pooled insurance thing. I think that's totally fine. Pro shop, some places will then give out pro shop credit too, which I think is cool. But I think it's this: you make a hole in one, you get a plate of nachos. New tradition.
Okay, not bad. Or ice cream.
Keeping it simple.
That was going to be a
That's
second
fair.
one, but I feel like
throw that one in there.
Yeah.
Shouldn't
I will
cost you
say,
money to hit the shot of your life. Just should.
If somebody was present on the day of the hole in one and they were also in the hole in one club, they did get a free drink.
Oh, okay.
So,
See,
there's different little caveats to it.
That is a kinder, gentler, more humane approach to this. So I nominate you. So if anybody has any questions on hole in one
Philip will be in
policies, how to
charge
do
of
that,
the global
we'll make
hole
sure.
in one committee.
Yep, we're gonna post Philip's cell phone number. We're gonna post his cell phone number in the comments so people can just text him directly. I think that'll be good. Philip, thank you for popping on and giving us some feedback. It's going to be a great week of putter content and topics and all of those things. And until next week, again, like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff because we're starting challenges. But until next week, we're out.